If you've been watching my vids, you'll probably have stumbled on a DITA IEM that I was really fond of from the Winter Photo Fest. Well, a week after the show, I just couldn't resist and I got myself a Project M and I have been using it ever since. This is DITA's first foray into a hybrid design, and it's breaking from the tradition of, the more flagship priced IEMs into a more mid-range Project M. And for a first go from DITA, safe to say, I really do quite like it, and I think you might like it too. Watch this video to find out why. So from the box, you can already see the Project M has a very stylized approach. You have this predominantly black cardboard box with the Project M name, the DITA logo, with the M moniker here. It's all in a glossy silver texture. And of course you have the graph line just running straight from edge to edge here as well. Slide out the sleeve and we get this inner box, again also with a reflective DITA logo in the center. Opening that top and we will see what is basically sort of a well-cut piece of A3 paper, and it acts as like a booklet just showing you all of the other DITA products. But yes, if I take it out, pop it open like this, basically you've got this very big piece of A3 paper, and I'm sure if you flatten it out, you can make it into a quite a pretty nice looking poster. You then have a support card that is printed in Japanese and a warranty card. It also contains the user manual in the back as in the form of a QR code. Now going down to the main event, we have this really nice box of everything. You've got the little box here of Final Type E ear tips in 6 sizes. And the special thing is, these ear tips glow in the dark. If that alone doesn't make you wanna impulse buy these IEMs just for these ear tips, I don't know what else will, since it's pretty much the only way you can get these glow-in-the-dark ear tips. Aside from the rare instance they were given away in a hi-fi show in Germany back in like 2020. Then we are given a really novel sustainer carrying case. It's got one of these flip-up hinges. I guess this is sort of like a holder. Looks cute, looks nice, and if you have many of these cases, I think they are also very stackable. Although I will note that the inside of it, well, it's lined with silicone here, but I find that it is maybe a bit too small when you have to put the whole Project M and everything inside of here. And you'll have a situation where you'll have to wrap it really tight like this. Otherwise, the wires will get crimped up on the sides of the lid when you close it. So just be careful when you're doing that. Still, for like a $350 IEM, you're getting a really nice, sort of a branded case. And it exudes boutiqueness rather than just basically another generic case or carrying pouch. And of course in the bottom there's going to be the DITA Project M's kind of housed in the foam insert. But from the accessories included around it, you can see that DITA's pedigree for making premium unboxing experiences, they've translated all of that knowledge very well into what is their cheapest IEM to date. Although it doesn't have like the most items ever, what is included in the Project M is certainly charming and definitely unique, with the glow-in-the-dark ear tips, the Sustainer Thanos carrying case. It's certainly not something you see from other brands at this same price, or heck, even going up to like flagships, sometimes you're not getting as refined of an unboxing experience and accessories as this. We can also see that the Project M itself is really dripped out with a striking appearance. We have a standard IEM shell shape made of resin. However, the guts, as you can see, it has a very distinct look. It's essentially the PM1 dynamic driver in here, and it's being, in a way, encased within resin walls. And the nose balanced armature, it's actually shoved up inside of the nozzle, so that's why you can't see it. It's kind of like a KZ in terms of construction there. And under different lighting, as you can see, the dynamic driver, the logo here, it has a bit of a rainbow haloing effect. That's awesome. Just looks even more impressive. But I do have one gripe with this shell, and it's that it has these weird 2-pin connectors that, well, they don't protrude fully outward like a QDC 2-pin, but they stick out enough to make, normal 2-pin cables kind of look weird on it. I really don't know why it's like this, aside from them basically trying to lock you into using just DITA cables for some reason. Thankfully, the cable that they do give you is really nice. Apparently, it's made by Thieaudio with a white exterior, and it's actually a fairly flexible type of wire, and it really tangles. And of course, you've got the Velcro strap to sort of organize and get the cable together without tangling so much. Also, low microphonics and everything like that. And you've also got the awesome plug modular system from DITA, which helps you easily swap between the 3.5mm connection and also 4.4 balance connection, which comes included in the box. I do wish though that the cable would have a chin slider that it does not have. Another sort of head-scratching omission. I don't know why they wouldn't do it. Overall though, when you look at the Project M, I think you can easily see it looking like an IEM at a much higher price tag than it really is. The interesting, resin casing construction, sort of embodying the dynamic driver with resin walls, and the card-ass cable, it combines to make the Project M feel like a bespoke item. And as someone who appreciates good design and aesthetics, I love that DITA does not cut costs when it comes to their presentation, and sound notwithstanding, the Project M's looks already make it feel quite worth your money, isn't it? Now, as for tip rolling, I actually find that the stock Final Type E ear tips that came with the DITA Project M, they're already a perfect match for them. It adds a little bit of warmth and smooths out the somewhat spicy treble energy, which is all good here. And for source matching, if you're gonna use a neutral or a bright source with this IEM, you're not gonna have a good time. I would recommend a warm or even a dark sounding source to pair with the Project M, just to tone down that spicy treble energy a little. Now for power requirements, I actually find that using the Project M on just normal 3.5mm is more optimal, because with the balanced output, you're getting more power into it, but it's actually kind of making the balanced armature treble getting really boosted, which kind of harms the overall sound. So that's a bit of an art thing that you're using unbalanced, and it's kind of better than the balanced connection here. With all that out of the way, let's get to the sound of the DITA Project M. The overall signature of the DITA Project M is a well-executed V-shape, having a peculiar peanut gain region and treble range that can do wonders for some music, such as atmospheric sounding tracks, ambience, and Hollywood OSTs especially. But let's talk about that bass. So sub-bass element in the Project M is really prevalent here, and it's quite good quality. But two words I'd use to describe this low end is speedy and meaty. It thumps well, and it makes for a very lively presentation. Mid-bass did not get ignored though. It trails not far behind to fill up the low end without bleeding into the mids. Bass detail here is a cut above the similar contenders and all, although its texture is kind of odd. It's being soft in some songs, and it's a bit more rough in others. Overall though, a really solid and addicting bass presentation. The lower mids of the Project M has a bit of a warm tilt from what I've heard of it, much to my delight. Upper mid range is going to be a bit hit or miss here. Now on the one hand, it performs superbly with Hollywood OST soundtracks. It's my go-to whenever I want to hear the soundtrack of Oppenheimer or the 2022 Batman movie and the Godzilla movies especially. Like, it just has that sort of spacious, cinematic feeling kind of sound. that you would expect when you go to the theater, and that's on your IEM. On the other hand though, vocal genres can be a bit odd. With vocals, they're kind of feeling a bit recessed, but moreover, it has some tonality issues where a more conventionally tuned IEM would be a lot better off. Separation though, it does really stand out for me, as the Project M pretty adeptly presents fine detail with little issues, achieving high quality fidelity, both its price bracket and beyond. Treble on the Project M is going to be another controversial point. I kind of don't like it 80% of the time, but the other 20%, it works to further enhance the Project M. It's not even like genre dependent. Sometimes the weird treble spike will work as intended and it gives a nice clarity boost as well as like this really cool sharpness to your music. Sometimes it adds this sharpness to cymbals, to harp sounds, or your piano flicks, right? But at other times, it would just exacerbate the innate sort of graininess and artifacting of a mix. But so far, the positive effects, they tend to outweigh the negative ones. And if you do find it annoying, you can EQ treble down a little to taste. The soundstage width of the Project M is slightly wider than your head. However, what particularly impresses me is the very good soundstage height, creating a very competent imaging performance. Musical elements and instruments, they have a clear distinction in terms of their depth and their position in the mix, something that many IEMs, even up to the $500 mark, still can't get quite right. Technical ability of the Project M is another showcase of how much DITA can do on a lower budget. Macro detail separation is only a step behind high-end sets, and micro details also puts up a great show, digging into the musical nuances without being surgical with it. But Project M, it rides the tail end of where the diminishing returns begin. And from here on out, you'll have to spend much more money to achieve noticeably better technical performance. You can like the tuning of the Project M, but its technical chops are definitely working hard for your money. Going to comparisons, in roughly the same price bracket, you've got the Moondrop Blessing 3, which has a proven presence in that sweet spot price area, about $300. Let's see how it fares. Now build-wise, I gotta give it to the Project M with its clear resin build looking clean compared to the Blessing 3. Also, no shiny metal front plate to get all scuffed up and fingerprinty. And considering Moondrop's record with quality control, I think that the Project M will probably be the longer lasting IEM. Sound-wise, the Blessing 3's bass texture is a bit softer than the Project M, less in amount and perhaps a little bit less in terms of bass detail. Lower mids are fairly neutral on the Blessing 3, with upper mids being more refined than the Project M in terms of tuning, making the vocals a little more present in the mix, having less tonality issues. Treble on the Blessing 3 is unremarkable but competent. You know, whilst the Project M is a little bit more, I guess, hit and miss, but sometimes it has really good extension, sometimes it goes a bit overboard. Overall technicalities though, the Project M, it edges out on micro detail extraction. It also has better imaging capabilities that you can notice, though micro details on both are trading blows. If you want the safer tuning, I think, yeah, going for the B3 is a no-brainer. But if you want to listen to more movie OSTs, instrumentals, and you want a more sort of studio recording feeling to your sound, I'd say the Project M is going to be your choice. Coming in a little bit more expensive than a Project M, we have the Hype 4 from Thieaudio. Now, for the build, the Hype 4 seems to be solidly constructed. I gotta say, the M simply feels like it's just built better, and it feels more premium when you hold it in the hand and you look at it. The cable of the Project M also fits its aesthetic, more than the more OEM feeling Thieaudio cable. Now the Hype 4, it has a touch warmer sounding signature than the Project M, but with less of that brightness. Bass has less mid-bass energy and is more sub-bass focused on the Hype 4, even more sub-bass focused on the Hype 4. Mid-range on it is also having, again, a slightly warmer tone, but the upper mids of the Hype 4 is where I'm kind of not impressed. It's sounding a little compressed. Highs are not as sparkly as the Project M. It doesn't go all out, but it's, a bit more versatile thanks to that. Technicalities wise though, the Hype 4, it keeps feeling it's just a little congested. Like it's being hampered down in terms of how much macro details it can present. But with micro details, it's behind, but not so far behind from the Project M. Still though, I think the DITA offering, it does enough things a bit better than the Thieaudio one that for me, I would take the Project M over the Hype 4. And I did, because both IEMs were kind of displayed next to each other when I auditioned them in the earphone, and the DITA, it won me over pretty convincingly to have gotten my purchase. So I would say, for their first foray into the mid-range segment, DITA really did quite a bang-up job with the Project M. The ostentatious design, the good build quality, the unique accessories like the glow-in-the-dark ear tips, they all invoke a boutique unboxing experience that's inherited from DITA's more prestigious IEMs, and certainly more premium feeling than the usual unboxing affair. Now, its modified V-shaped tuning is a bit quirky. It doesn't sound natural or organic. However, I find that it does a really good job of replicating the feeling of sort of just sitting in the studio booth and hearing the studio mix version of a song is what I describe it as. And that's a feeling I've not heard any other IEM reproduce. Add in very competitive technical ability, and DITA have successfully crafted a really compelling package for the mid-range price that they are targeting. And for that, it has my seal of approval.